they're just symbols. That's what people tell me when I speak against using pictures to represent Christ. They say, they're just symbols. We don't worship them. When I was in Japan, where I was for a couple of years, shortly after the Second World War, I went as an evangelistic missionary. I went there to turn people from idols to Christ, and I preached against idols and idolatry. And it wasn't very long before someone took me aside and explained, we don't worship those images. They're not idols. We don't worship them. They're just things to help us remember that which we feel we should remember about our ancestors. They're just symbols. Isn't that the same thing that Christians use, the same saying that Christians use to defend their use of pictures to represent Christ? But is it a valid defense of using pictures to represent Christ? They're just symbols. There are two kinds of symbols. There's the kind that are visual, where we put God's name or a name of God on an image, a visual image. And the other kind of image is the kind that's revealed in the Bible, where God has given a system by which we can know Him and pass on that knowledge to other people, including our descendants. And that system did not use images on which any name of God could be given. It did give the people a sacrificial lamb. It gave them a priesthood. It gave them a tabernacle. It gave them the place and all these different things that are involved to represent God. And yet on none of those could God's name be placed. God gave His law to the people as He established His covenant with them. He said, I am the Lord thy God. You're not to have any other gods before me. You're not to make any image of anything in heaven above or the earth beneath or the water under the earth. You're not to bow down to them or serve them. So he was saying, he went on to explain that if you have these kind of images, you put God's name on an image, then you are making Him jealous, because God sees it as something that's competing for your affection. You put His name on something that's not Him. He says, if you do that, you're saying that you hate me because you choose that over me. He says it's iniquity. He says, I'm going to pass or visit that iniquity on down to your descendants. And it's just a natural thing. If we have an image, whatever concept of God we have, that's what we pass on to our children, our grandchildren. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. And so He does give us a way by which we can express and know Him, but it doesn't include having an image on which we place His name. What symbol do I use for God? I cannot use the images on which God's name is placed. I cannot use the Levitical system that was given in the Old Testament, because Christ has come and fulfilled that. He is the Lamb of God. It pointed to Him, but as soon as He came and offered the perfect sacrifice on the cross, the Lamb of God dying there on the cross and rose again, showing that the sacrifice was accepted by God, then no longer is there a need to sacrifice another lamb. That perfect sacrifice forever has been made. And so on with fulfilling the Old Testament system of symbols. So what picture do I use for Christ? I can't use the pagan symbols. I can't use the Levitical system anymore. But I have knowledge that Christ has fulfilled it all, and He's revealed in the Bible, and He is now ascended to heaven, and He's out of sight. Nobody can make an image or a picture of Him now because He's out of sight in heaven. He will come back, and we'll see Him then, but till then we just wait for Him to return. But we do have His Word. We have the Bible that does give us the knowledge of Him. And that's if I can call that a symbol, that's the symbol which I have for Christ.